the Twitter one. You guys asked, and you shall receive. Today, hey, guess what? We're talking Dynasty, baby. Dynasty is everybody's favorite league. It's not my favorite league, but it's everybody else's favorite league. Of course, Tipp, Nicho alongside. How do you guys feel about it?
I love Dynasty. I think you're right. I mean, it's fun. It adds a whole another element to the game where it can make it a year-round thing, and that's for me what makes it fun. You can always talk trades. You can always talk draft picks. It's what makes it really fun for me.
Yeah, I love Dynasty. I think, at the end of the day, I love being in multiple different types of leagues, right? That way you get a flavor, of redraft, you get a flavor of Dynasty, but, there is something really fun about a Dynasty league, and I'm excited to get into it with you gentlemen.
Yeah, because we're going to be taking a break, of course, from the redraft, this or that, and all that good stuff, which, of course, I really enjoy. And I think it really also adds an element of what to do when you're in the redraft process. But today, we're going to be talking about our Dynasty stuff, like the strategies, different segments, superstars, the bust, the people that you want, the losers, including myself, and all that good stuff. But of course, we're going to be discussing different draft strategies, what mistakes people make, why you want to make those type of moves, strategies, maneuvers, and all that good stuff. But of course, we're going to kick it off with some news and notes. Nicho, this one's going to be up to you.
NFL headlines.
Oh, we stepped up to CNN.
All right, gentlemen.
Not bad, huh?
All right, gentlemen. Well, I don't know if everyone's kind of taking time off here for the 4th of July or what, which, by the way, happy 4th of July to all you listeners out there. There are a few notes from the past week. According to Bills beat writer Matt Perino, James Cook is to be used more in the passing game in 2026. I'll tell you what, James Cook, to me, if he can get involved in the passing game, which, he should have been getting involved all along, he could easily break fantasy football. He, to me, is one of the most efficient runners in the game, tied to a top offense. I mean, he was top 5 in yards per touch, explosive rating, breakaway runs, expected points added. And the only downfall that's honestly keeping him out of the consensus or outside of the top 5 in most draft formats right now is truly because he doesn't have that receiving upside. I mean, he averages about 40 targets a year. And if that ramps up even closer to something like 60, I mean, watch out.
There is a problem, Nicho, and it's Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson gets catches. Last year he got 24. And that's a lot for a part-time player that he is. He's utilized there in the third downs mainly. But I think that as long as Ty Johnson's there, Ty Johnson's still going to get his, man. And last year, again, 24, I think he can probably get that again, maybe a little bit more. That's going to eat into what James Cook is doing. But I like that they're saying it. I like that they're talking about getting him in space, because that's what you're going to do to help keep his longevity, to keep his career going. So that's good news. That's what you want to hear. Him running in between the tackles. I'm not saying James Cook is not a big guy and he can't take the punishment, but he can't take the punishment. Like it's just going to happen. So I do like the fact that they're trying to get him creative ways of getting him the ball. So we'll see.
I don't know.
He thinks I'm over here worried about Ty Johnson.
I'm not worried about Ty, but I'm saying Ty Johnson's going to.
That's what I'm saying.
He's going to be a factor in the pass game. Ty Johnson.
James Cook, he's already a RB1, drafted in the top 10 in redraft leagues. Honestly, like he already has I already hold a high opinion about him. I don't really know how it could go any higher. This only verifies what I think is going to happen this year for him, and that's going to get those receptions, and he's just going to prove why he is an RB1 in fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the only thing in his profile right now that's missing. I mean,
Yes.
he's electric, he's efficient. He's just not on the level of CMC, how Tipp feels about Saquon this year when it comes to receiving upside. Like, that is truly been his one downfall. So yes, it's a very encouraging to hear that from a Bills beat reporter. Another news note here is Bucks NFL beat writer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rick Stroud. He joined the BetMGM show, and he said he believes Bucky Irving and Kenneth Gainwell will be used interchangeably, with the Bucks going with the quote-unquote hot hand. They probably want to keep Bucky around 15 touches per game. I open the floor to you. This is not good for Bucky.
I'm already so low on the Buccaneers running backs that this, like, they could say, oh, they're both going to get 30 touches a game. I would still be like, nah, I'm not touching either one of those. And this doesn't move me in either direction. So I'm still not touching either one of those.
Tipp?
Look, if you say Bucky Irving and 15 touches, as efficient as he is, I'm happy with that. It's just the issue again is how healthy can he stay? 15 touches, that is a lot for him. But I look, I'm actually now I'm still going to go with Kenneth Gainwell because you can get him about 4 or 5 rounds later than you can Bucky Irving. But I think that this could close the gap a little bit more. Maybe Bucky Irving starts to go up, or Kenneth Gainwell starts to go. Like, it might close the gap a little bit more with this being said, because now you got the people who are going hard on Kenneth Gainwell. Like myself, I was like, man, I'm going to get him in all the leagues. I got him in the Scott Fish Bowl league that I was just in this last weekend. So it's like, yeah, this is the time to get Kenneth Gainwell, because the Bucky Irving thing is not going to stop. They're going to say all the great things in camp, but again, it's about longevity with him.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked that you feel that way. I think not necessarily about Kenneth Gainwell. I do agree with you there that, from a redraft standpoint, and I know today's a dynasty show, but I do agree that there's some value to be had there. I think for me, when I'm looking at, Bucky Irving and hearing that, they're going to ride a hot hand and, they're not necessarily going to give Bucky the bell cow work, which most people are feeling that that's not going to be the case anyways, but to hear it reiterated by someone, who is in the organization is definitely not something I would want to hear. But it's also something good to know prior to obviously redraft season. I just think Kenny G's no slouch, right? And he's going to primarily be used as a pass catcher. There's still Sean Tucker, who could take some goal line looks, while Bucky kind of lives between the 20s. He's someone that, at least for me, in redraft boards, he's definitely falling down. That said, keeping it dynasty focused, low key, I think the value's low, so it's a good opportunity to get some feelers out.
The key number here is 15, around 15 touches for Bucky Irving. If he can get 15 touches, around 15 touches, that means anywhere from 12 to 17, because he might have some games where he might only get 12 touches, which again is not bad. And then he might have some games where he's feeling good. Coach is like, man, he's hot. He's got the hot hand. He might get 17, 18. Hell, he might even get 20 touches that game. He did it last year. He had a game where he almost had 30. I think he had close to 30 touches. So it's one of those things.
Last year,
I like this. Last year, yeah, like I believe so. Yeah, he had one game. Let's go fact check it. I'll check
17.
Right now.
So obviously there was early on Bucky, right? Like until the injury happened.
2 different Buckies.
There was a game where he had 25 carries and 4 receptions on 4 targets.
So close to
but that was
30,
pre.
So 30.
Right. That was kind of pre-injury, but once he got back, yeah, he had a game with no, Tipp's right. There was 26 attempts in week 18 when
we don't care about
everyone
that.
was done playing fantasy football anyway.
Yeah, we don't care about that one.
Hey, but he did it. For those week 18ers out there, they did it, man. I mean, like,
Zay Flowers, week 18 god.
I think this is not bad news for Bucky, man. I think it hurts Kenneth a little bit, Kenneth Gainwell just a little bit, but he's been making so much noise in offseason OTAs and stuff. I want to see if he can continue that noise in training camp into preseason. I'm really looking forward to seeing, because they're going to have to see what they can get out of both of these guys in the preseason. That's going to be a really key battle to watch.
Yeah, definitely going to have to agree. But I'm letting you guys know that if you draft either one of them, you automatically lost your fantasy league. But dynasty strategies in general, what it means, why you believe it or don't, commonly made mistakes. And of course, you got to give me an example. You can't just say, you got to give me an example. Show me the proof in the pudding. Nicho, I'm starting off with you.
Say that again. Sorry.
This guy,
Not locked in. Sorry, guys.
not locked. Tipp. Well, he lost his turn. He lost his turn.
He lost his turn.
Give me a shot, coach. Give me a shot.
Go sit in the quiet corner with your dunce hat on.
Left bench. That's where you're at right now. God. Oh my God. Okay.
No,
you know what? I'm gonna say it a little slower.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a little slower for you this time. Okay.
Yeah. Thank
Dynasty draft strategies or strategies in general. What it means. Why you believe in it. Common mistakes other dynasty managers make. And then, of course, give me an example, a real life example, proof in the pudding. There you go.
Sure. This is what we
I mean, well deserved. No, so for me, when I'm thinking about dynasty, one thing to me that I find as a common mistake is teams constantly stockpiling draft picks and players for the future. I mean, listen, if you're constantly building for the future, what does that do for your team in regards to being competitive on a consistent basis? It's really important to identify your team and how competitive you think they are in the moment, and then go from there. You don't want to live in, mediocrity like every Minnesota sports team. So like, sure, if you're a team that, is older, maybe not competitive, engage with your league mates to build draft capital for an aging player, look to trade guys like, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams. But at the same time, like, don't do so much of it that you put yourself in a situation where you end up having more draft picks than actual roster spots, and try to get a player in return who still has value instead of, like, for example, 3 picks in an upcoming draft. Like, make it a younger player while still getting a pick. I mean, to me, like, that's the worst place to be, in my opinion, because then all of a sudden you're finishing in like 6th, 8th place with aging players and no elite assets. So the middle is where dynasty teams go to die. If you're not a real contender, do not manage your roster like one.
Living in mediocrity. The Steelers, Minnesota, the Bears. Actually, the Bears are never really there. The Packers. I'm trying to think of like other teams that are just stuck.
I'm surprised you haven't said my Raiders yet.
They've never reached mediocrity.
I'm shocked.
Oh damn! They haven't even reached mediocrity.
No, come on, like really, like where, when? 2013, they hit mediocrity once for a little flash in the pan.
We're gonna show you
Derek Carr legacies.
Derek Carr made a career out of that year. But Tipp, help us out here.
Okay. Yeah, no, Nicho talked about, the future, that always mortgaging for the future, because that can turn into a vicious cycle. He's right. So instead, attempt to win this season, the season that you're in, mix it up with some really young players. We're going to talk about some young players later on, and particularly one of my players. But we're also going to talk about some players that aren't so young, who've been in the league a few years now. Mix it up with a little bit of both of those, because then you get the best of both worlds. You get guys who are about to be at their prime or in the middle of their prime, with guys who may be ascending later on in the next couple of years. So try to keep a healthy balance of that. Don't always try to go after the young players, because young players sometimes have a hard time finding the field and staying on the field consistently. So you always want to do that. So, the Derrick Henry approach, I have done some dynasty leagues because of where Derrick Henry can go, that I'm like, well, man, I've got 4 or 5 players that I can really, really build on, and I add Derrick Henry to that. Come on, it's easy. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, a mini example is that I was stuck in mediocrity and I had two choices: rebuild or trade my picks for an elite player. I traded my picks for Christian McCaffrey. He got hurt. I'm back in mediocrity. Let's go, baby.
But what about last year?
Yeah, it didn't. I think I had like CD Lamb. He got hurt. I'm not gonna sit here and list you my roster, but everybody except him got hurt. Oh, also Brandon Ayuk did his thing. But that's a different story for another time. Anyway, I ended up with 101, so now I'm in rebuilding. But I mean, I think you guys have said it. You don't want to be stuck in mediocrity. You don't want to be the Steelers, but you also don't want to be the Raiders. You don't want to be stuck rebuilding for 15 years straight. How many times have the Raiders, hypothetically speaking, been in the top 5 picks of the draft? In the last 20 years, I would say it was about 90% of those. And you don't want to be doing that in Dynasty. There's people in my leagues that have been rebuilding since I joined the league. And the league has been reoccurring for about 7 years now, six, seven. Every single one of those years, somebody has been stuck in that rebuilding phase. And at some point with $100 buy-in, like you just threw away $800 at some point. Like you have to think about it from that perspective. I think you should always go for the playoff push. I think that if you are in a contender, pull the Rams, F them picks, and just go for that player. I did it with CD Lamb. I did it with Christian McCaffrey. I have Josh Allen. And then, of course, all you got to do is just pick up after that one good player in the draft. That's all you need. One other good player. And then from there, your roster is locked and loaded. You hit playoffs. And then from there, is just anything happens at that point. You just let your stars be stars. And I think, go ahead.
So I have a question. So you're talking about players that you feel like will go deep into the season?
Not necessarily. You're looking for elite players all the time. Of course, at every point, every fantasy, at any type of fantasy league, module, type, redraft, dynasty, 2QB, whatever. You're looking for elite players and you want elite players on your roster. And if you could sacrifice a pick, in my opinion, to get an elite player or somebody who will have an impact, not might have an impact, will have an impact, I say do it. I think I would rather have the known commodity than the unknown commodity, unless you are taking a top 3 overall pick and you need a running back. Then, okay, I'm willing to go for the safe unknown commodity because a running back typically will be a safe commodity rather than a wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a dynasty league where the manager made the decision to not necessarily tank, but like he knew that he wasn't winning and didn't like his roster and he traded a lot of assets for future picks. He ended up getting himself to a point where he had too many picks and he would be drafting in a, not a redraft, but a rookie draft. And then all of a sudden he would, either have to trade someone right away or like his roster size was too big. So I think moral of the story here is really just know where your team is at and make adjustments accordingly. And to Nader's point and Tipp's point as well, you can always play to win. And then when you get to that midway season of the point where you just, you don't see the proof in the pudding, you don't see the team being able to make a run, at that point you can look at selling and, building for the future. But the biggest thing that I've found is it's always impactful. And how I would rebuild without tanking is try to get a player in return as well as a pick instead of say multiple picks that next year or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think another big thing is if you are trading for picks, right, you have to be weary of the draft spot that you might end up in that traded draft pick. Like if I'm trading, hypothetically speaking, CD Lamb for 2 first rounders, and I know the guy I'm getting the picks from is going to have a very competitive team, then those 2 picks are going to be near the end of the draft. They're pick 12. I'm not going to get CD Lamb value. Probably not. You probably are not going to get CD Lamb type of players in the end of the first round in a redraft league. So at that point, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because realistically, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Now, if you are taking picks earlier in the round, then of course, the value changes. And at that point, it would be a lot worth it. So you also have to be wary of the other person's plans that you're trading with. Is he going for that push? Is he also stuck in mediocrity, and he might go either way? Or is he also in a bad spot who just really wants an elite player to build around? And from there, Nico,
I
what else
think
you got
one
for
thing
us?
before we move on, I do think you brought up a very good point about knowing where that specific team is going to be drafting. At the same time, know your league rules. What if they do a snake where the 12 then like you pick back to back at the 12 spot, or does it revert to the person that won the league like 1 through 12 and then it goes back? So just make sure you know your league rules when you're trading for picks. That way you're not missing out on, like, in your mind thinking you get the 13th overall player, but instead you're really getting the 24th overall player if you're trading for a second round. So just know that, know your league rules.
Mhm.
Hell
There
yeah.
we go.
Guys, you hear that?
Oh, not
Train.
the hype train.
It's the dynasty train, guys, and we're gonna keep the dynasty train rolling. And first, you better look. We're on the show. Nico, Nader, myself, we're on the show right now. We put a lot of work, a lot of content into this. You've seen the intros, you've seen some of the work that we did, the sound bites, things like that. Please like and subscribe to the show. I mean, we put a lot of work into it. We appreciate you guys for listening in. Last week, I think we had over 121 views. It's growing. We appreciate all you guys. So, man, look, check us out on all of our YouTube channels, our Twitter accounts, all of it. So just go to our Twitter account, go to our LinkedIn tree, and you can see all of our links from there. So again, going back to the show, we're going to be talking about some dynasty winners, some superstars. We're going to be talking about some sleepers. And then, of course, we got to talk about those losers as well. So we're going to talk a little about that. We're going to get a player for each one of those spots, starting with Nico. Who is your dynasty superstar? Now, we got a new soundbite. We're going to try this one, not for each one of them, but we're going to try this one for the superstar. Here we go.
A star is born.
The star is born. So who's your star, Nico?
I mean, this dude's already been a star, but now he is a dynasty superstar, and that is Jalen Waddle. He is a massive winner for me. The Broncos were first in the NFL last season in pass attempts. Yes, even more than the Cowboys and Rams. And Waddle, to me, is a clear-cut number one wide receiver. They traded for Waddle in the offseason from the Dolphins. And honestly, like, Sutton's going to be 31 years old this season. He's currently 32.7 years old. And his opportunity and production have dipped. I mean, he was 85th in separation, 35th in yards per route run, and first downs per route run. And although he's not sharp, not sharp like he once used to be. And although, like, you know, Sutton specifically, still, he was fourth in the NFL last year in routes run. He still only had a 21.6% target share and a 21.1% target rate. Essentially, Sutton was the cardio king. And meanwhile, Waddle, who is 27.6 years young, I mean, he's got gas left in the tank. I mean, he's still one of the most prolific efficiency receivers in the NFL. He was 6th in first downs per route run, 10th in yards per route run, and he just left a team that was bottom 3 in pass attempts to now number 1 in the NFL with the Broncos. To me, Waddle, he is a massive winner, and if you're staring at him either in the 5th round of your redrafts, make sure you hit that draft button. And in dynasty formats, I mean, yeah, the value might be a little bit higher, but I think he's got, you know, another solid 2 to 4 years of fairly elite production.
Now, I'm just going to chalk it up to our crack team. You know, they dropped the ball on not getting us a sleeper, so I'm just going to make a snoring sound. All right, Nico, who is your sleeper? I love this one, by the way.
Listen,
I love this
I
one.
I will admit the fantasy community is warming up to this guy warmer than anyone I've seen on my Twitter feed. But from a dynasty standpoint specifically, I want to talk about Jonathan Brooks. His current ADP in redraft is sitting around 10th, 11th round. And at that point in your draft, you need to be prioritizing upside. And that's what this guy is. And from a dynasty standpoint, he's 22.9 years young. He's a former second round pick, which was 46th overall. The guy ahead of him, Chuba Hubbard, is one of the least efficient running backs in the league. In 2025, Hubbard was 48th in explosive rating, 50th in true yards per carry, and 100th in EPA. Like, no offense, because honestly, all NFL players are way more athletically gifted than I will ever be. But like, this guy sucks. And when he was a reliable fantasy option, he just straight up thrived on opportunity, even though his efficiency was terrible, and he has no upside. He was beaten out by Rico Dottle last year, and Brooks should certainly have an opportunity to take over. He's been participating in OTAs. He's been receiving praise from head coach Dave Canales, said he looks great in both the run and receiving game, and profiles as a 3-down back. That's all things that we love from the fantasy football community, is receiving upside and bell cow usage. And you combine his still young age, draft value, and Hubbard's inefficiency, and to me, Brooks is a smash sleeper in all formats. His hype is getting real, but like last year, you probably could have traded a second, maybe a third-round pick for Brooks, and now I believe it would probably take a late first or an early second to get your hands on him. And that's what I meant earlier in the show when I was discussing like realizing buy low spots, on guys like this, because honestly, the sky's the limit for him. As long as he stays healthy and doesn't tear his ACL for a third time, he's going to be a sleeper that's going to be wide awake.
Nader, talk to us about Jonathan Brooks from your standpoint, because I really haven't heard your thoughts on him, because I know I'm right with Nico. I think that this is a prime spot to get him, especially if you're doing drafts like in the next week or over the weekend for 4th of July. Like, there's still people maybe sleeping on him, just not as much, but just a little bit. But go ahead, Nader.
I love talking about the Carolina Panthers so much. We know about that.
We know
a lot of people are sleeping on the Panthers, and specifically Jonathan Brooks. I will be one of them. Mediocre talent, mediocre team, negative.
Nader, stop.
Difficult division. I just don't see much to be like excited about on him. I just think that
mediocre talent. Come on, dude.
Waste a pick on him, then unfortunately you just have to lick your wounds on that one. If you want to waste a third to try to pick him up, then you just wasted a third in that. I don't know, like it just takes you for him to succeed and for him to be relevant, in my opinion. Yeah, boo all you want, buddy, boo all you want. It hurts to be right all the time. For him to succeed, it takes a scenario that isn't realistic in the near future for the Panthers. Positive game scripts, not realistic for their future. Solid offensive line, not realistic in the future. Competent offensive coordinating, still I wouldn't say a fully in their future. I'm not even sold on their new head coach yet. I just don't want any part on that team, considering he's always going to have bad matchups, considering their division is pretty good against the run. I just don't see why I would want to waste my time investing in a player with low return.
Do you feel that you don't like him because you think he's washed from the multiple ACL injuries, or is it more of a Carolina Panther thing for you?
Yeah, it
that
can't be.
Is mostly the Panthers. 2 ACL tears isn't ideal either. It's always going to be on my mind when I'm looking at a dynasty. I'd be more interested in him in a redraft setting, but dynasty 2 ACLs, same leg, I believe it is. He's not Frank Gore. It's not going to happen for him.
Well, from a fantasy standpoint, Carolina Panthers fans keep pounding. From a reality standpoint, I could care less. But no, like Nader, I just don't understand. Like, Jonathan Brooks is all worldly talented, dude. It's just he had ACL. He had the ACL tears. Like, the dude is bad, bro. Literally. No, I think if you really look back at what the Carolina Panthers did last year, from the year before that, specifically on the defensive side too, because the year before that they were about to give up like over 500 points from the defensive side. They improved that. I think they're going to find themselves in a little bit more positive game scripts than we think, just because they play a slower paced game, slow, methodical type game, which is going to favor Jonathan Brooks. And look, if the dude gets his speed back that we know he has, or he had, I don't know which word to use on that one, but if he gets back to that speed, ooh, he could take the top off Nader. I think where you have to look at it too, where you're getting him. It's not like you're getting a 6th round pick or an 8th round pick. Like you're getting him like 9, 10, 11. Like you're getting him in those rounds, and that him being like your 4th running back, man, that's beautiful.
We're talking about dynasty, right? He's going in the 9th round in a dynasty league.
Well,
when I brought it up, I was talking about 9th, 10th round in redrafts, but I took it right over to a dynasty standpoint, going into basically how he's still only almost 23 years old. Like, I know most running backs, like that cliff for dynasty, you're usually looking at about, 29 years old. Henry is really the one running back right now that is defining the odds. Like, at the end of the day, he's still young. And for me, it's really it's more of a fade of Chuba Hubbard. And the fact that he lost his starting position to Rico Dowdle last year. And I just think the opportunity is there for him to start the season in a timeshare. But if he clearly showcases that he is more explosive, is more efficient, as the season goes on, I absolutely see a window of opportunity. And from a dynasty standpoint, he's still, like I said, 23 years old. Like he has the ability to be a reliable fantasy asset on your dynasty team for, the next 6 years.
I'm looking at some dynasty rankings that were just updated today, and I want you guys to guess where Jonathan Brooks is. What number in running back? What number running back do they have him ranked?
I'd probably put him like 24.
Okay, you Nicho?
And wait, what? You hate him and you say he's at 24?
I'm gonna get him.
Is that good? I don't know. That doesn't sound that good, but to me, that's
RB2. That's RB2.
You gotta think 12, 24.
That sounds like a flex spot
RB2.
to me.
No.
I would probably have him, I would say high 20s, low 30s.
He's 36, guys.
God damn.
Like I think what it is the injuries. The injuries is concerning him. Maybe Nader's onto something as far as him being on the Carolina Panthers. Chuba Hubbard. They got Etienne's brother over there as well. So I mean, maybe there's some things to that, but I just think that talent wise, they've been waiting for this for the longest time, and with him being a 36 or a RB3 in Dynasty, I don't think that's a bad idea. But what I will say is this: you got a damn well sure hope that you got a damn well sure hope that if you get Jonathan Brooks, you're gonna want to get somebody like another running back in that vicinity really quick. And there's not many. I'm looking at them right now. You're looking at people like Tyler Algier, Ja'Cory Koski-Merritt, Jordan Mason, Woody Marks, Jonah Coleman. It's not good. It's not good.
I kind of like Jonah Coleman, but I'm still taking Brooks over all those guys. Now, if he was like 25, 26, I'd be much more concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Now I will be fair and roundabout where if Chuba Hubbard does get phased out, then Jonathan Brooks is good value at his spot. I will say that. If he gets phased out,
and that's my take. That's my take. Like, my take is
I just don't think
revolved around Chuba being so inefficient in a timeshare, and they clearly see that Brooks is more explosive, and they get to a point where that offense is so vanilla and it's so bland that they need to ride with players that are explosive. And Chuba, sure, he might be reliable. He's obviously been around. He's had a lot of opportunities in his time. But when I'm looking at upside, I see Jonathan Brooks.
Didn't they just sign AJ Dillon?
Quadzilla,
Yeah, the homie.
the homie out of Green
Yeah,
Bay.
they did.
Yeah, they
But
brought
who's
him
worried
in, but
about
like,
him?
you think I'm worried about him? He's like goal line back at best, 28 years old. Like, I don't see him as anything more than like a, hey, we're on the 5-yard line. Like, let's go.
Yeah, but that also
Not even that. Like
hurts his value, doesn't it?
One.
That's like all the more reason to not want Jonathan Brooks.
You guys
I'm not
remember all the
worried about
hype?
AJ.
Oh my God, he's got the biggest quads ever. Oh, I don't see how the linebackers could stop him. Dude is soft, bro. Like,
Exactly.
you can't be that big and soft.
No. Oh my god.
Well, anyways,
All right, Nico,
I'm going to talk
go
about
third.
my dynasty loser. And
Wait,
honest-
wait. Before you do your loser or the burnt loser, we got to do our sound bite, Nico. Hold on, real quick. This is a burnt loser, Chris.
Burnt to a crisp.
Burnt to a crisp. All right, who is it? Because I think he is crispy.
no, I mean, this guy, he's just a loser all around. Bad offense,
wow.
bad QB situation, and he himself is bad. And that would be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was a former first-round pick in 2020 out of Bama. He was 82nd in first downs per route run, 88th in yards per route run, 90th in separation, 66th in explosive rating last season. And I realized that a lot of it had to do with bad QB play, but he's now entering his 27.2 age, and the Browns drafted Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, while still having Fannin, who was awesome in his rookie season. Like, this guy is going to be taking a back seat. He's going to be more irrelevant than he ever was, and he has been irrelevant for most of his career. And I mean, at the end of the day, I just view his dynasty stock tanking to a point where there's nothing you can do with him besides hold and pray, because it's at an all-time low. I mean, his best season was in 2024, and it was a wide receiver 15 season. Like, I just don't see any value with him anymore. Obviously, being a former first-round pick, being in your mid-20s, there was certainly some, I guess, optimism that he may turn it around if he got traded to the right environment. But I mean, at this point, the writing's on the wall. They drafted two good wide receivers. I feel Boston and Concepcion are both very solid while still having Fannin. I don't see any opportunity for Jerry Jeudy to be successful in a dynasty format anymore. And if you have him, honestly, good luck. Like, maybe pray that he has a couple monster weeks and then try to trade him.
No, wait, Nader, can I have a request? We need to put a note
God.
to the side. If you have a post-it note or something to the side, we need a hallelujah drop as well, because Nico just said pray twice. So we need to have like whenever we pray to something, we need to have that hallelujah. We got to have that. We
Who
need
needs
that.
a soundbite when we
I'll
got
make a
you?
note. Yeah,
No, I can't.
I'll make a
I
note.
can't do that the whole time. No, because during the season we're gonna be saying that a lot. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna. Oh, you're gonna pray. You're gonna need this for this week or whatever.
God.
Tipp, by the way, the dreads are looking fire today, man.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. I decided to let the hair down a little bit. I was like, man, it's about to be Thursday. I'm off on Friday. We got 4th of July. Like, come on, man. Happy 4th of July to everyone, by the way. So yeah, man. Like, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited for the weekend.
There we go.
Let's hear about
And
your
the Fantasy
superstar.
Football Expo is coming up soon. But anyway, go ahead.
Let's
Tipp,
hear about your
you're up.
superstar.
My superstar, Emeka Ebukwa. Look, I truly feel like this could be the year for him, and it's starting right now, guys. Going into year 2, he has wide receiver 2 upside. I think that he could probably finish inside the top 7 after the season is over with. And this is why it's how I think he could do it. First month of his rookie, look at what he did. He looked like an absolute stud out there. Then he got tired legs, right? And then he hit that rookie wall. Well, what did he go out and do this offseason? He went and started working out. First of all, he rested his legs. So he did that, which he needed to do. So he rested his legs. And then to the point where he started to train, he went into different types of workouts that was going to not only help his strengthen his legs and his muscles, his core muscles, but also help him from not getting fatigued so he can last the whole season. Now, you know that there's no more Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield is looking for some more money. So this is going to be the year that Baker Mayfield balls out again. I'm all in on Baker Mayfield. I'm all in on Emeka Egbuka as well. I think he's going to be a stud this year. Now, you got to worry about Chris Godwin. You got to worry about Bucky Irving, Kenneth Gainwell. There are some other mouths to feed. But I think when it's all said and done, Baker Mayfield does like to lock in on that primary receiver. And I did hear that they are going to be utilizing him as a primary receiver in the as an X receiver. So that's going to be something that's going to be good for him, and that's going to also just leave space open for Kate Otten and for Chris Godwin as well. So that's going to be nice. I think him staying in one spot, not moving him around too much, that's going to benefit him.
Mm-hmm.
To the moon.
So, yeah, what's going to stop him from not having a mental breakdown? Not mental breakdown.
It was
like
not
an actual breakdown, like he did last year.
It's the fatigue. And look, it happens, I think, to a lot of players, especially their rookie season. They're not used to playing that many games against that type of competition. You know, of course, the competition gets better as you go, but this is the pros, man. This is a different level. And we saw him come out, when he came out the gates, came out like a bat out of hell. The dude was like just averaging, I think he averaged close to 20 points in those 5 games, or not, if right at 20 points in those 5 games. I mean, that's elite category. Now, he couldn't sustain it for the whole season, but I think if you can get from him, I think if you could get anywhere from 12 to 17 points, 18 points per game, which I think you can get from him, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for blow-up games too, which you will get those because he's a wide receiver, a number 1 wide receiver on a really good offense. But man, if you can get that sweet spot of that wide receiver 2 love, and he can actually be turned into a wide receiver 1, man, sky's the limit for him.
God, you know, I really do like him. I think he's good. I'm a little skeptical though. It's like, I want to see you do it for a whole year. Now, dynasty wise, it's too late for you to grab him. If you don't have him, good luck. You don't have him. His price is probably more than, honestly, his price is not a hot take artist here, but it should be close to Jamar Chase. I think it's higher than Justin Jefferson now.
Oh, wait, in Dynasty?
Dynasty? Yeah.
No, I'm looking at it right now. He's number 12. So he's a wide receiver 1.
To acquire him. Like if I want to trade Nicho for him, I'm probably having to play Justin Jefferson prices, if not more, in order to snag Egbuka.
If you offer me Justin Jefferson for my Emeka Egbuka, I would smash accept that.
Yeah.
You're a Vikings fan. That doesn't count.
No, listen. I am not biased towards my Vikings. How many times on this show have I talked about how high I am on basically every team in the NFC North? Like literally besides my team. I try to be, but I just think, you know, if you're talking about Jefferson specifically, like, you know, he's still young enough. He's still in his prime. Like, you know, I think Buka still has a lot to show in regards to getting on that level. But from a dynasty standpoint, like Tipp was saying, you know, I mean, sky's the limit for the kid. Mike Evans out of town. You know, there's a lot to be excited about there for his upside. And yeah, I'll have to pick.
And look, for what it's worth, he is in Dynasty right now. So this is like if you're doing a Dynasty startup, he's 22, which right on the cusp of second round, leading into the almost right in the middle of the second, third round. I think that if you can partner him up with a good running back like Ashton Genty, Saquon Barkley would be really nice. Well, maybe not so much in Dynasty, but if you could partner him up with one of these other running backs, Amarian Hampton's, maybe not. But I think that I wouldn't be mad at him being my number 1 wide receiver. I would be a little nervous. I'm not going to lie, but I think when it's all said and done, I would be satisfied with what he's able to output over the course of a full year 2.
Now give us the sleeper.
Oh, and we talked a little bit about Nico kept saying his name. I was like, damn, he keeps saying his name. And he was talking about his teammate, Jared Judy. It's Denzel Boston for me. I mean, just listen to the reports, guys.
Like
I mean,
him.
you watch the OTAs, rookie camp. This kid has a chip on his shoulder. He's hurt and he's taking it personally because he felt like he should have been a number one pick. He wasn't a number one pick. He was a number two or second round pick. Excuse me, not number one, a first round pick. And he's upset. And I just got to tell you right now, Nader, this is one of those situations where Denzel Boston is right now number 60 as far as wide receivers go in Dynasty. And I had to go back and look at that. I was like, what? That don't make sense. And I went back and looked at it again. And I'm sorry, and I looked at not at overall, not for wide receiver, overall. He was number 6. So I was like, that's insane. So you're telling me you're going to have to go with players like Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy. Like, I don't want, no, I want Denzel Boston over all those dudes. I don't want him. I want Denzel Boston. I don't want those other dudes. Don't even talk to those other dudes about me. I think Denzel Boston is going to be an absolute superstar. I don't see anything less than 8 touchdowns from this kid in year 1.
Wait,
Whoa.
what?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Do you
That's
know what team he's
bold.
on?
I don't see.
They might not have 8
less than-
touchdowns all season.
I don't see less than 8 touchdowns from him in year 1.
He's on the Browns. I just want you to know this.
I know who he's on. I know what
Do
team
you know
he's on.
Do you know who's his quarterback?
Well, it's going to be Deshaun Watson, but we right now there is a competition.
And you still
going
think
on.
it's going to be 8?
I still think so.
Okay,
I
buddy.
still
All right.
think
You
so,
know what?
man.
You know, go to your loser.
It's funny. It's funny. Nico talked about him too. Jonah Coleman. He said, I like Jonah Coleman. I like Jonah Coleman too, Nico. I really do. I really, really like him. I just don't like Sean Payton. And I'm just going to continue to say it till I'm blue in the face, purple in the face, whatever you want to call it. Sean Payton with these running backs while he's been in Denver has been atrocious. RJ Harvey gave us a little bit of glimpse of light last year, and RJ Harvey's still there. Then they went ahead and they re-signed J.K. Dobbins. Like, who's going to trust this? I don't know who to trust. I don't know what to trust when it comes to Sean Payton. They're not going to run the ball 40 times a game. They might give the ball to RJ Harvey in the pass game. That's going to be nice. But I just don't know who to trust in this situation. So I think right now Jonah Coleman is a little bit of a loser / burnt to a crisp. All right, Nader.
Yeah.
Wait.
Hold on. I want to say something about year 2.
Yes,
really
please,
quick.
yes, because you're so high.
No. We talked about both of these players back when we were on Spaces on Twitter, and Denzel Boston. I mean, he's kind of like your Drake London, like get it kind of guy. I'm not saying he's Drake London. Don't put any words in my mouth, Nader. I know you're probably thinking like he ain't Drake London, but like he has the ability to like go up and get it like London. He's kind of like your highlight reel. Like you actually don't like London touchdowns. That's quite a bold prediction, but I love it. And Jonah Coleman, I just personally liked him coming out of college because he had a lot of receiving upside. I was kind of hoping that he would land with Seattle, but they ended up going with Price. But at the same time, it's not like Dobbins is on like a massive contract. And I don't necessarily feel that RJ Harvey is a guy that's going to take bell cow type of work. I'm not saying Coleman's going to be that guy in the future, but in a dynasty, I'm more willing to, take a shot on him, put him on the taxi squad, and just let him hang out there, for a year or two. And maybe, once Dobbins inevitably gets hurt and or is no longer with the Broncos, maybe he gets a look. But I know
guys, I need to
know your thoughts about Sean Payton, so I get it.
Yeah. You know what? I need to clarify something real quick on Denzel Boston. So Denzel Boston in the Dynasty League is wide receiver 45. I'm going to tell you a few wide receivers that are being taken before him that I wouldn't want anything to do with this year or beyond. Devontae Adams is one of them. DK Metcalf is another one. Alec Pierce is being drafted above Denzel Boston. Even his own teammate, Casey Concepcion, which I get it. I mean, he is supposed to be the number one guy in that offense. But from what I've been hearing in camp, Denzel Boston has been balling out. And I've seen a few videos. The dude just looks like an absolute monster on the field, dude. Like, and I don't know. I always gravitate towards the bigger wide receivers for some reason, especially in fantasy. I always want to have one of those guys who's like 6'3", 6'4" on my team. I like to mix it up, but I always want to have one of those guys on my team, man. And I think that this kid can really raise some eyebrows in year one. Okay. All right, look, so Nader.
So you're saying he's basically Drake London, like I said.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying he's Drake London. I'm sorry. It's the same type of player. Like that's the ceiling.
Yeah. I agree with that.
It's not the floor. It's not the most likely. It's just the type of player. Jump ball, big dude. Go get it. But Nader's got some pretty interesting guys here. Let's talk about those three.
All righty. I'm going to keep mine short and concise. Luther Burden. If you do not go and get him now, it's too late. Because his draft stock is just going to elevate to no end at this point. He is in this perfect situation that you want your wide receiver in to succeed. Now, Luther Burden has got a gunslinger quarterback. Check. Gunslinger offensive coordinator. Check. Semi-decent offensive line. Check. Mediocre run game. Enough to keep the defense honest, but not enough to be the focal point of the team. Check. Okay, now, do you have the ability to get open down the field? Check. At this point, what is missing for him to succeed now is just him being on the Bears at that point. And sometimes it just happens when you're on the Bears that you do Bears things. But right now, Luther Burden is at his lowest value that he will ever be in his fantasy career until he tails off at the end of it. He is going to be a superstar that we're going to be talking about for years on end. Always talking about plugging him into the lineups, always talking about drafting him in the higher echelon rounds. And because of that, he is now the superstar that he needs to be addressed as.
I like the Luther Burden. I do. And I think a couple of months ago, a lot of people were the Luther Burden train, the hype train. It was everybody was all aboard, and then it kind of died down a little bit. So I think you're right. This is the time where you can actually probably take a little bit more advantage of it, because I think sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, and the problem is he's still not cheap. Like, I would probably pay close to a first rounder. I probably would pay a dynasty first rounder for Luther Burden. I would be okay with that and feel pretty comfortable with that, knowing that next year or 2 years from now, it'll be 2 first rounders if you were going to trade away from him. Mm-hmm. My sleeper, Tutu Atwell. Just for the sole reason of somebody's got to do it over there. And in Carolina, like, who else is, I mean, not Carolina, sorry, the Dolphins, it might as well be Carolina. Like, who else is gonna do it?
I was like, bro, he ain't with the Panthers.
Yeah, I know. Someone's got to do it over there at the Dolphins. Like, why not him at this point? Like, he was semi-successful on the Rams, not fantasy relevant, but he was a decent NFL piece. He's only 26 years old. He still has a career ahead of him. And because he wasn't used that often, he doesn't have that wear and tear that you would kind of expect a 26-year-old to have. He has the ability to beat man coverage. He has the NFL experience that nobody else on those wide receivers really have. And it's like, as a sleeper, why not go for him? He is a perfect shot in the dark. He's a perfect go after and see how it goes. Because if you have to cut bait on him, it's not an expensive cut. Like, you don't lose your year because you had to cut Tutu Atwell or keep him off your team. There's no reason for you to not take a stab at him, because what are you losing? But also, what do you have to gain? This is one of those rare instances in fantasy where your cost is low and your reward is high, and there's not too many of those opportunities in Dynasty, in my personal opinion. Any thoughts before I move on to the loser, or I mean the Raider?
I mean, that Tutu Atwell is like a super deep sleeper, like a Rip Van Winkle type sleeper. But I mean, yeah, that's cool.
That was kind of the segment, right?
I mean, yeah. Listen, we know him as a deep threat.
Hibernate ass.
it's not like the Dolphins, have that much competition.
No, he's right. He's
it's
right
a
about
deep
that.
take. I can respect it. It's a deep take. It's a deep sleeper.
Yeah.
Like they're snoozing, like
Yeah.
coma.
Yeah. Hibernating was correct. Like the bear in hibernation right now. That is that take.
But I like
Ah.
the bold call.
Yes, bold. I mean, it's like it's like stacking your quarterback with your wide receiver. When you can have an inexpensive stack that produces fantasy points, that only elevates your team, obviously. And if it doesn't work out, it's easy to move off of. Anyway, now for the loser. It's Garrett Wilson. I can't stand him. And I almost debated making Drake London the loser, but you know what? The problem is he still has a lot of value. So I can't do that. I could only do that if I wanted to be funny or troll. But right now, Garrett Wilson, to me, he's just a loser. I mean, bad offensive line, bad team, tough division. I mean, the Dolphins is going to be the easiest matchup. And they're still no slouch of a defense. They didn't like really get bad on defense. It was just their offense that went disastrous. I like it for the price that you have to pay to get a Garrett Wilson isn't worth the reward. And because of that, as Tipp disconnects, it makes it so it's not worth it to be able to go after a Garrett Wilson type player. To me, it's not worth it to keep a Garrett Wilson type player. And for that, you always have to ask yourself for what and for why. And Garrett Wilson always ends up in that category of for why am I keeping him? For what is there to gain? And like Tutu Atwell, where there's little to lose, a lot to gain, he is low to gain, a lot to lose. And because of that, I don't see a reason for him to be on your fantasy team.
Yeah, it's one of those things with Garrett Wilson where, Geno, although there's some level, I don't want to say excitement, I think it's more optimism is probably the right word here, that, Geno can be serviceable and give Garrett Wilson a safe floor. At the end of the day, the ceiling is still going to be capped with Garrett Wilson. And, based on what your expectations were for him, when you drafted him, 4 years ago in your dynasty draft, or I guess whenever you started it, like, he hasn't produced any like top 10 type of wide receiver rankings for the year. So I get it. I like it. But it's not like he's the biggest loser. He's just kind of like,
he's just a loser.
Vanilla.
He's biggest loser. He's just a loser.
He's vanilla. He's meh.
Yeah, but vanilla is gonna get you 1,100 yards and 4 to 6 touchdowns. I that's cool with me. Like,
it's the price you paid, not getting the value.
I think his price over the last couple of years has gone down, and you've got some new blood coming in. Boston, we just talked about. You got the kid Tyson, Carnell Tate. You got some new blood coming in.
Are you advocating for me?
I think people might forget about Garrett Wilson a little bit, and then he plays for the Jets. That's whole situation, and I think that you can sneak in and be like, oh, you'll be in your drafts and be like, oh, damn, he just picked up Garrett Wilson. That happened to me in the Scott Fish Bowl. I picked up Garrett Wilson in like the fifth round as my. It was
the other
the
thing
fifth
too.
Round as, I mean that happens.
He also signed that 4-year contract extension through 2031. So, presumably the Jets will not be great. They'll have a top pick. The 2028 draft class is pretty good, at least forecasted to be pretty good for quarterbacks. But then again, you're going through the motion of a rookie quarterback, and it's kind of like now all of a sudden he's 28, 27. Like, obviously he can, still get traded or something like that, but I hear you on that.
Yeah, it's like you paid a first rounder for him, and in my opinion, probably a higher echelon first rounder. You haven't gotten close to that value back, and if you wanted to get rid of him, you probably wouldn't get close to that value back regardless, unless somebody really wanted to bite on it. But people don't trade.
Not bragging. I'm not bragging.
You're
I'm
bragging.
not here to do that. But
yeah, you don't have
in the Scott Fish Bowl, I got Puka Nacua, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson's my number 3 wide receiver, and I'm loving that because I'm thinking to myself, damn, if Garrett Wilson can turn into a number 2 and Chris Olave can be a borderline 1, we already know Puka healthy. You know what he can do. Like that man.
I'm fine with that as your wide receiver 3, and especially in redraft. But remember, Tip, talking
We're
dynasty.
talking dynasty. We're
Talking dynasty, buddy.
Talking
Talking
dynasty.
And I think in
First Olave's
dynasty,
gonna
I
have
think
a
he still
concussion
falls
week
a little
3.
bit.
Yeah. I worry that
me
he's
see.
all of a sudden we blink and he's 27 years old and he's got a rookie
he's
or a
still,
second year quarterback that the Jets draft inevitably when they have a top pick. And then all of a sudden it's like, what happened to his, 7-year career at that point?
Wait,
So
no,
anyways.
Garrett Wilson's 25.
Correct. But I'm saying like after
Oh,
this
you're talking about in a
season-
couple of years.
Yeah, as far as this year go, we're talking dynasty. As far as this
Dynasty,
year
buddy.
goes, like I think there is a safe floor with Gino.
Well, here, let me throw this at you real quick. Because right now, Garrett Wilson in Dynasty is 14. He's ranked number 14. So that's just right outside of number 1 or wide receiver 1 territory, right? So my thing is this. Maybe next year it drops down a little bit to like the 20s because you got some of these new guys coming up. Luther Burden's there, Jordan Tyson, AJ Brown is below him right now. AJ Brown can have a good
29.
year, even though he's 29. You've got Brian Thomas Jr. He's 23. He can have a good year this year. Like you got some of these wide receivers that can kind of pull their weight up, and then Garrett Wilson falls down a little bit. And I think maybe next year might be the sweet spot year for him.
So you agree with me that he's a
Never
loser?
mind. I agree that I don't agree he's a loser. No,
He's a loser
because I still think he's going to have a better year than Devonta Smith. But
definitely not.
I know, and that's what we talked about last week, and we're going to bring that back because this or that segments are fun. So, but anyway, I'm not going to say he's a loser yet. Nope.
Basically, what Tipp did is he called him a loser, but with extra steps. So we're going to segue into the final segment, and this one we're going to keep it short and concise before we rock out of the show. And of course, when we are discussing the differences between dynasty and redraft, there are a lot, but maybe not as many as you think. And the biggest one is going to be the future longevity of the player's talent and skill level, allowing him to be successful on a fantasy football team. Like, for example, right now, Derrick Henry, while he is an elite redraft running back, dynasty, he's going to produce fantasy points for you, of course, but you're not building your team around him for the future. As JSO knows, these guys looking good. Shit. Thanks, buddy. It's not me, though. I'm not doing the heavy lifting in this one. But that being said, somebody like him, Derrick Henry, you can't build your team around him. You're looking for him as a putting you over the top piece rather than a foundational piece. Somebody like, what Nicho said, Justin Jefferson, he would like him as a foundational piece. Me, I'm going Luther Burden as a foundational piece, so on and so forth, as the players we talked about earlier on in the episode. Now, Nicho, you're going to start it off first. Who is a player who has maybe lower or higher ADP average in redraft with a significant difference in dynasty?
Yeah, for me, it's Trevion Henderson. I think from a redraft standpoint, you still have Ramondre Stevenson in the picture, but from a dynasty standpoint, Ramondre is 28 years old. We mentioned it earlier, 29 or 30 is typically the fall off point for most running backs besides the king. So I think, long story short, Trevion Henderson can get the keys to the kingdom if he doesn't take over this year, in the next year, maybe 2 at most. So I think he could be a league winner running back for you down the stretch. Honorable mention, I'm going to just mention Travis Hunter and Rashee Rice. Travis Hunter, dynasty, take a shot, see what happens. Rashee Rice, redraft, yes. Dynasty, sell.
There we go. Tipp, give us a player.
Yeah, I like Jordan Tyson, excuse me. A bright future ahead of him. Brighter than we might think, man. Right now, the injuries are the thing that are scaring people. I get it. I understand. But he's going into a Kellen Moore offense. And one thing I will say, looking back at some of his college career, especially this, I'm not a big ADOT guy. I research it, but I don't like to talk too much about it. But I will talk about it in this instance because in his 3-year career, I got to count 2023 because that was the year he got hurt. But he averaged, his ADOT was 13.7. And usually a really good ADOT is going to be in the 12s or higher. So look out for that. He's going to be a deep threat in this offense. And this offense needs a guy like that. And Jordan Tyson, I don't know why I want to call him Thomas, but Jordan Tyson, he will emerge on this offense to be a piece that they need with Tyler Shuck, the way he throws the ball, the way he can zip the ball. I think that this is going to be a very key piece for this team.
There we go. Now I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. Jacoby Myers. In redraft last year, he was practically a league winner to finish out the season. Now, you're not building a team around Jacoby Myers. So we'll keep it short, keep it concise. But other than that, hey, that's going to wrap up this episode. Of course, next week, we're going to be talking about our best ball league. And of course, when we're going to set the date, we're going to do some more this or that, compare the players and their ADPs to decide who you're going to be drafting in that specific spot to make sure you have the most elevated of offenses, or I should say fantasy teams. But other than that, hey, make sure to make sure to hit that comment button and let us know what you think of the show down below. But and of course, follow the socials at our fantasy football space on Twitter, so on and so forth. But other than that, hey, do you guys have a closing statement?
I got nothing. Have a great 4th, everyone. Thanks for
There
tuning
you
in. Link in bio for the link tree to follow us on all our socials.
There we go. Good luck, everybody.
Later.